All right, so we are recording now. Wait and see as our students start coming in. They may not be able to join till like right at 4. Here we go. Welcome students joining us. Feel free to put in the chat where you are joining us from. Congratulations for everyone who has been newly admitted to William and Mary. Go Tribe. Welcome to our session. Yes. So we'll give it a few seconds. People are still joining. So again, if you're just joining, please feel free to put in the chat where you are joining us from. Maryland. Thanks, Stephanie. Not too far away in the Potomac. New York. Gabby, welcome. Hope everything's going well over there in the Empire State. Welcome, students. My name's Monica Pinier. I'm one of the Senior Assistant Deans of Admission here at William and Mary, and I want to, again, first and foremost, congratulate you all for your recent admission acceptance to William and Mary. We are so excited. It is no small feat in a year like this, and we're just so grateful to have you here as part of our programming. We have 2 amazing speakers and resources at the college here today. Again, if you're joining us, please feel free to put where you're joining us from in the chat. If you have any questions during the presentation today, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and we'll get to those after our presentation. I want to introduce our amazing guest speakers. Thank you so much. Dot Osborne and Elizabeth Cavallari with the School of Education, who are going to talk to us about our many teacher education preparation programs. Take it away.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. As she said, my name is Dot Osborne, and I am the Senior Assistant Dean for Academic Programs and Student Services in the School of Education. And what that super long title really means just is that I sort of oversee everything from recruitment to graduation for our students in the School of Ed. So I am happy to have this opportunity to speak with you this afternoon about the wonderful teacher ed programs that we have in the School of Ed. I'll tell you a little bit about me first. I am a former English teacher myself. So I love that in my current position, I get to recruit new teachers into the field. I've been at William and Mary for over 19 years and in the School of Ed for 14 of that. And so obviously I love this institution and I'm happy to share a little of that love with you this afternoon. So with that, we will get started. So you're here today with me because you are at least considering a career in education, and I commend you for that. We need the best and the brightest in our classrooms. Teachers make an amazing difference in the lives of children and young adults, and currently, many states have teacher shortages, including Virginia. So you can easily begin your career right after graduation and begin that ripple effect that teachers make in the world. So why pursue education at William and Mary? Well, first of all, we are accredited, and that's important no matter where you pursue a teacher education program. And we're accredited by CAPE, and that's the Council for the Accreditation of Education Preparation. And we just went through our most recent accreditation a couple years ago. Another reason is demand. When you complete a program at William and Mary, you are desired by principals and superintendents. We get calls every summer from school divisions that find they have open teaching positions to fill, and they want to know if our new teachers have been placed or not. We also hold a career fair with the Career Center here on campus every spring, and we bring in school divisions from the region. Many of our students walk away from that fair with job offers. And finally, leadership. Our graduates take on leadership roles in their schools early in their careers. They become program chairs, department chairs, assistant principals, and principals. A little bit more about teacher ed at William & Mary. We are a nationally recognized program for curriculum development, particularly in the field of gifted education. And the Center for Gifted Education is housed on the 3rd floor of the School of Education. Our programs are small by design so that our faculty can provide unmatched support for you while you complete your education program. Depth of your classroom training is one of the things that sets us apart from other programs. You will complete a lot of hours in K-12 classrooms, and that provides you with a great experience before your first year as a classroom teacher. And since we're located in Virginia, you will obviously be licensed in Virginia, but we have staff that can assist you getting licensed in other states. Many of our students go back to the state they originated from, or just choose to teach somewhere else in the US. And you should know that some states have special requirements, additional testing requirements or course requirements. For example, in California, a lot of divisions want you to have a course in ESL. And then I'm not sure if it's still true, but it was the case that in Texas, no matter what you wanted to teach, even if you were going to be a chemistry teacher, you had to have a course in Texas history. So we have staff that will help you navigate that process and pursue licensure wherever it is you want to teach. And of course, we've also had teachers go overseas and teach for the Department of Defense and in international schools as well. And so who's looking for scholarship money? We have many scholarships that are tagged specifically for education students. Our donors are passionate about education, and they choose to use their philanthropy to support students who are seeking to become teachers. And if you're interested in teaching STEM, which is a critical shortage area across the nation, the Noyce Scholars Program provides excellent funding to help you achieve your teaching degree in science or math education. So how do I become a teacher? At William & Mary, we offer multiple pathways to achieve teacher licensure, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about now. We have an undergraduate program, which is a second major program, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Education would be your second major. We have a BAED in elementary education, and we have a 5-year BA to MAED, which leads to a graduate degree. So first, let's talk about our undergraduate second major program. This is the oldest program that we have. You can add education as your second major to any major at William & Mary, and you can choose to add elementary education or secondary education. Within secondary education, you will select a concentration in English, math, social studies, or science education. So in this program, as I said, education will be a second major. And in order to declare it, you will apply through the School of Education, typically just before your junior year. If you plan to teach at the secondary level, which in Virginia is grades 6 through 12, you will major in the content area that you plan to teach, and secondary education will be your secondary curriculum. So, for example, if I wanted to teach English, I would major in English, and secondary English education would be my second curriculum. So the application process is pretty simple. It's online, requires an essay and an unofficial William & Mary transcript, which you will be able to access from your Banner self-service account. You should have completed at least 54 credit hours, and that can include transfer credits, and have a cumulative GPA of at least a 2.0 when you apply. So that was the second major program. Now I'd like to talk to you about our newest program, which is the BAED in elementary education. For many years, students in Virginia could not major as a primary major in elementary education, had to be a second major. But that requirement changed a couple years ago in Virginia. William & Mary responded by creating this new program. Now students can have a major in elementary education, and that students have been requesting for many years. You can major in arts and sciences to the BD if you choose, and you can also concentrate in special education, second language bilingual education within the elementary education major. Students who select the BAED begin taking education courses earlier than students in the second major program. BAED students must also apply, and the application is very similar, an online application with an essay and a transcript and a minimum GPA requirement of 2.0. Students interested in the BAED typically begin taking classes as early as their freshman year before you ever apply to the program. And you can see the sequencing of the credits that a typical student takes. The program allows you to fit in your call curriculum, which are the general education courses here at William & Mary, and the specific courses required for licensure in addition to your education courses. So that's two options that you can pursue as part of your 4-year undergraduate degree at William & Mary. When you complete either the second major program or the BAED, you'll be prepared and licensed to teach at the end of your 4-year journey. But we have one more path for you to choose from, and that is our 5-year program. In the 5-year BA to MAED, you will stay for 1 additional year to complete a master's degree. With the 5th year program, you have 4 program options: elementary education, secondary education, special education, or ESL bilingual education. Students interested in the 5th year program apply during the 2nd semester of junior year and education classes senior year. Again, the application is online and requires a transcript. But for the 5th year application, you will also need 1 letter of recommendation from a William & Mary faculty member and a cumulative GPA of a 3.0 or higher. Once admitted to the program, you'll take 2 education classes during the senior year, and you will provide evidence of meeting the Praxis core requirement, which most of our students do by providing their SAT and ACT scores. So if you have those and you submitted them to William & Mary, we have access to those, and there's really nothing else you need to do about that. You'll need to also maintain your cumulative 3.0 GPA and maintain a 3 in your education classes. Then you'll graduate in May with your baccalaureate degree and immediately elevate to the graduate program that summer. And then 1 year later, you graduate again, but this time with a master's degree and your teacher licensure. So for all of our programs, all three tracks, you will be assigned a faculty advisor in education, and that advisor will go over the program of study with you, assist you with course selection and navigating testing requirements for licensure. And for all of our programs, student teaching is always the last final semester of your program. For any program you choose, there are specific courses in addition to the education courses that are required by the Commonwealth in order to receive a teaching license. The courses are listed on the programs of study for all of our programs, and you will discuss these courses with your faculty advisor. It's best to try to take these courses as early as possible when you get to William & Mary. And some of them are also called curriculum courses or major course options. So planning is really important so that you can knock out both requirements with one course as you look at the endorsement courses ahead of time. So it's really important that you look at those with your faculty advisor. So we've been talking about programs that prepare you for the classroom, but what if you're interested in education, but you're just not sure that you see yourself as a teacher? If that's the case, then the educational studies minor might be of interest to you. And since you have until your last semester at William & Mary to declare a minor, you don't have to commit early. The educational studies minor is 18 credits, and it's an interdisciplinary minor that allows you to focus in one of 2 areas. You can focus in global education or in policy and equity. And these concentrations are exactly what they sound like. The global education concentration within the minor allows you to study education in a global context and focus on programming outside of the typical US educational system. The policy and equity concentration takes a look at educational policy and how it impacts systems, students, families, and really society as a whole. So that's a lot of options to study at William & Mary. Which path will you choose? Our undergraduate second major, our BAED, our 5-year program, or the Ed Center? So we're going to go through some frequently asked questions, and then after that, please feel free to put any questions that you have in the Q&A so that we can get those questions answered for you today. So one of the most frequently asked questions I have is, where will I be placed for practicum courses and student teaching? That is one of the most important parts of your program. At least we feel that it's one of the most important parts of your program. And we actually have a clinical faculty program that trains classroom teachers on how to be a cooperating teacher for our students. So we place our students with graduates of our clinical faculty program first. And we also place you within 30 to 45-minute drive to William and Mary. We really don't want you driving any more than you absolutely have to. And we use all of this in school divisions. Another question I get asked a lot is, can I choose my cooperating teacher? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no. You cannot choose your cooperating teacher. But our staff work very hard to make sure that you're matched with the best teacher to ensure that you have an amazing student teaching experience. We'll ask you a lot of questions on the application that are used to help make sure that we put you in the very best placement. Do I need to have my own transportation? While it is great if you do, it might make your life a little simpler. It is not a requirement. We have lots of students who don't have transportation. We ask that question on the application, and students who don't have transportation will be placed at schools either with other students who have transportation so that they can carpool, or they'll be placed at schools that are on the bus route if they're not interested in carpooling. But we do students who don't have transportation, and we find a way to work it out for them to get to their placements. Another question I get asked a lot is if additional endorsements can be added to a license. And in Virginia, you're very lucky, it can. It's actually fairly easy to add additional endorsements to a license. So for example, if you majored in math, but you pursued the elementary education program, you could take the additional Praxis test for secondary math and add that to your elementary license. You can add most secondary content areas to any license, but you cannot add elementary as an additional license. Elementary is a specialization, so it doesn't work in direction. But if you were to do a lot of people will do one of the science programs and say their license is in biology, but then they will take additional Praxis tests in chemistry and add a chemistry endorsement to their biology license. So we have a lot of students who add additional endorsements. You can also add an ES endorsement to any license if you pass the Praxis for ESL. Lots of folks ask if they actually get paid for student teaching. Well, wouldn't that be nice? But no, unfortunately, you do not get paid for student teaching, but you do earn hours of credit for student teaching, and those credits are required in order to obtain the teaching license. So you have to have those student teaching hours. So you will spend a lot of time student teaching, but it's super important training, and it is important for the license. The next question that I get asked a lot is, you have all these programs, how do I choose one? And while I can't really answer that question for you, I can tell you a little bit about why our students make the choices they do. Students who don't want to pay for an extra year of school typically select one of the undergrad programs because you can be done in 4 years and be licensed. Also, students who know they want to earn a master's degree in school leadership, which is actually the degree that you need to become a principal, or someone who knows they want to be a reading specialist, which requires a master's degree, they will often choose the undergrad program so that they don't have to complete 2 master's degrees. But then I have athletes and students who want to spend a complete spring semester abroad, and those students tend to pick a 5th-year program because it just makes it easier for scheduling. And then I have folks who really want to double major and do education. And so those folks will select the 5th program because at William and Mary, you can't have 3 majors. Of course, I'm not sure why you would want to have 3 majors. That sounds super painful. But for students who are really passionate about 2 other majors, they can pursue those as an undergrad and then do the 5th-year program and add education as a graduate program. So that is a way that folks are able to do all 3. And in most states, not all, if you have a master's degree as a teacher, you typically earn more money than teachers with a baccalaureate degree. So for that reason, a lot of folks will choose the 5th-year program so that they end up with a master's. So if you want a career that is never boring and allows you to grow and impact the world in wonderful ways, then you should become a teacher. And you should do it while you're at William and Mary. The picture there is a picture of the School of Education, and we hope that you will come visit us at some point. We would love to have you visit. We would give you a tour and show you around, have you talk to some of our students. Our website and our emails are on the screen, so feel free to contact us anytime with any questions or visit us. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Dot. Great information there. And students, please feel free to use the Q&A function if you'd like to. You can even anonymously put up a question. So don't be scared, safe space, ask anything you like. But we do have a question already. How can you satisfy the Praxis core for the 5th year program if you were unable to take the SAT or ACT?
We do have a provision for that, and we do have, particularly transfer students often don't have SAT or ACT scores. So the VCLA is a test that's required for licensure. No matter what, you're going to have to take that test. So we'll take that, and then you only have to take the Praxis core for math test. So those two combined can be used for the whole Praxis core requirement. That way you don't have to take that whole test and the VCLA. Any other questions? This is a quiet group.
It is. How about, could you guys talk about a little bit, when do students declare their program or interest for education once they start William and Mary? Since we have these newly admitted freshmen, when would they start that process?
I think now that we have the BAED, we have folks who start earlier. You can actually start taking classes before even being admitted to the program. So you can do that before you apply. So there's at least 4 courses that you can take that do not require you to be in a program. And one of them is an orientation education class, Education 200. And it is a great class for people who are thinking about becoming a teacher, but they're not really sure if that's really the way they want to go. So that's a great option. And then Education 301, which is foundations and educational psychology. Those 3 classes are really great classes to start with before you ever apply. I encourage anybody who's considering education to reach out to me or Elizabeth or any of our faculty as well, as soon as you're thinking about it. Because if you're going to teach secondary in particular, there are certain courses that you have to have, and some of those are major requirements. So if you can plan that out early enough, as I mentioned earlier, you can use the same class for different requirements. And so anybody who's interested, I say reach out early. Most of the secondary folks don't apply until their junior year. Most of my BAEDs are beginning to apply as soon as William and Mary will let you. So.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we have some more questions, yay. Someone's asking, when do students start student teaching?
So in our programs, we have both practicum and student teaching, and they're a little different. So in practicum, you're learning stuff in the classroom at William and Mary about how to be a teacher. And then you have hours out in the public school. You're not the teacher, but you're working with a cooperating. And there's certain things that you will do to complement what you're learning in the classroom at William and Mary. So if you were in a special education class, you might sit in on an IEP planning session with a teacher and a parent and a student and write about that. So everything that you do in class at William and Mary, there's a component out in the schools where they complement each other. But then your last semester is actually student teaching, and that's where you become the teacher. And there is a cooperating teacher there to support you, but you become the teacher of that class for that semester. So that's kind of how that works. And that's why it's your last semester, so that you're really prepared for that.
Excellent. Okay, what are some deciding factors for the students choosing between both the elementary education options?
I think, as I mentioned, if you really want to be an elementary school teacher and you know that's what you want to do, those people are choosing the BAED. Because that way it's not a second major and they're not trying to schedule around 2 things. It's just simpler for them. And then if there's a reason that somebody wants a second major, or they're an athlete, or they want to go abroad, those people would choose the 5th year option for elementary education.
Thanks. Okay, we have another question. Can you describe what a typical course load might look like for someone pursuing the 5-year program?
Yes. So your senior year, there's only 2 classes that you have to take, Education 301 and 310. If you're pursuing special education, there's another class you can take. You don't have to take it your senior year, but most people go ahead and try to get it out of the way, Education 425. But I'm finding that more and more students have opted to take 301 and 310 before they even get to their senior year, because anybody can take those classes. So it could be that you're not actually taking any education classes your senior year if you already got them all out of the way. So it really doesn't impact your course load very much. And then the 5th year, you're actually just a grad student. So you're not trying to juggle 2 things. You're just in graduate level classes.
Excellent. Okay. Our next question has to do more with financial aid or scholarships. Could you elaborate more on any scholarship opportunities that you're aware of, or do you happen to know how many students receive any scholarships for education?
I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but if you look at our website, there's a whole page of their curriculum instruction. That's what education is: curriculum instruction, scholarships. Some of them are targeted specifically at undergrad students. So our grad students can't even apply for them. And I actually have a hard time giving those out. People don't apply for them. And I send email after email and must beg people to apply for them. So if you're an undergrad in one of our programs, you absolutely should apply for any and all scholarships that apply to you. So most of our scholarships are provided by donors, and so they have stipulations. So some of them are specifically for elementary students. Some of them are specifically for undergraduate students. I think we have one, and they want you to be from a certain part of Virginia. We have some that are specifically for Virginia residents. But there's stipulations on all of those. But for the undergrad ones in particular, if you're an undergrad in our programs, you should apply for scholarship.
Absolutely. You said something earlier that I remembered because I graduated from another school of education, and they were always like, we're in it for the outcome, not the income. And that's why you should apply for scholarships.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, another question coming in for clarification. Can you only get your master's if you chose the second major program, if you choose the second major program?
No, actually, you wouldn't do both. So the options, and we have so many options, it's so confusing. And that's why I tell people, come meet with one of us and sit down and let us talk you through them, because I think it gets confusing. But if you were to do the second major program, you will get an initial teacher license. So you would not pursue the 5th year program, because it too leads to an initial teacher license. So the content is somewhat similar, because in the state of Virginia, there's certain things that you have to have in order to get a license. So if you were to pursue the second major program, you would just get licensed at the end of your 4 years. If you wanted to get the master's, then you would go through the 5th year program and stay for an additional year and get your initial license through the graduate program. So they're 2 different programs. The only people that do both, I have students who will do elementary education as an undergrad, and then they will come back to the 5th year program to do ESL or SPED, special education. So we do have folks who do that. So they actually have both endorsements.
Thank you. All right. It's still open for any questions. If anybody has anything to ask, I can personally attest that and Elizabeth are always so student friendly and helpful. So please reach out to them if you ever have any questions. They've always been so helpful when I have students who don't know what to do or which classes to choose. They will guide you to the right path.
Yes, please. My email is up there. And while I don't quite answer it 24/7, I almost answer it 24/7. So please shoot me an email if you think of any questions that you have about that. I'm happy to answer any. And then once you get to campus, absolutely come visit us. We would love to show you around the School of Education.
It's beautiful. What about for our students who are here? Can you tell us in the chat maybe what kind of education you're interested in, whether it's elementary or a certain subject or field? Oh, in the meantime, see here, interested in secondary education in English. Perfect.
Yay! I was an
Very
English
needed.
teacher.
Elementary. Awesome. Yay. Secondary education in history.
History, yay.
5th year with elementary
Awesome.
education. Excellent. Thanks for sharing, you guys. So feel free to put that in the chat. In the meantime, we have another question. Are there many international students in the Bachelors of Ed program?
We've had a few. I wouldn't say we've had a lot, but we have had a few. I think we've had more at the graduate level than the undergrad level, actually.
Dr. Elizabeth, do you have any other major pointers that I know that you mentioned a lot of the frequently asked questions already, but any other major pointers or things that you've heard from students that would help these newly admitted students? Or any advice to offer?
I think my best advice is, reach out to somebody early. The other thing you can do is go on our website and request information, because then you'll end up in our email list, so that as things are going on, that you can find out about interesting things going on in the School of Ed, things you might want to be interested in. So that'd probably be my advice. And don't be afraid to reach out to our faculty. So for all of our programs on the website, there is a faculty coordinator listed, and our faculty love to talk to students. So there's an email, you can just click right on it and email them. So don't feel like, oh, they're faculty, I can't reach out. Our faculty aren't like that at all. So if you're interested in elementary education, then you would reach out to Debbie Raymer, and she will be so happy that you emailed her.
I'll give it a few more minutes. If we don't have any questions, then we're going to grant you some outdoor time and or whatever you were doing and enjoying your days. But we really appreciate you joining us today. Oh, got another question. Yay.
Yay.
How many students are typically, I'm sorry, if I can read, I need to see an English teacher. How many students are typically part of each program?
It depends from year to year. So we don't have any limits on how many people we will admit. So particularly now, because teaching is a critical shortage in Virginia, and we are committed to helping that mission along. So we don't have any limits. So it kind of depends from year to year. Some years it seems like social studies will be the one that's exploded, and some years it's elementary, and some years it's English. So it just kind of depends from year to year how many people are interested in all the different areas.
Fascinating. Okay. Can you apply to the undergraduate secondary education program before your junior year?
You can. You just you would apply after you have declared your primary major, and then you would work with your faculty advisor to figure out which courses to take, because they're sort of laid out for folks who just want to do this their last 2 years. So if you're starting a little early, they would have to work with you and kind of help you figure out which courses to take, but they're more than happy to do that.
Awesome. Getting some more questions coming in. Have any graduates gone on to teach for America?
That's a good question. Typically, most people who go to do Teach for America haven't been through a teacher ed program, because they give you kind of a classroom crash course. It's like 5 weeks of intense training before they set you loose. So I'm not sure if we've had any folks actually do that or not. I've had folks who have done Teach for America who really wanted to continue in education but felt super unprepared to, because they, you get the crash course and you go do the thing and you do your time, but they felt like they really needed to go through a teacher ed program. So I've had quite a few people come back to the grad program who've done Teach for America. I don't know if we've had people go in the other direction.
Great point. This is a great question coming in. What do you think makes William & Mary School of Education unique compared to, education departments at other institutions?
I think one is our size. We are a small school of ed, and that's by design. I think two, our faculty are super involved with our students. I'm amazed at how close they are to all the cohorts. The other thing that I wish my program had was the amount of time you actually spend out in the schools. So before I did my student teaching, I think we did a few things. We did some tutoring, we did some random sorts of things out in the schools, but that was it. And then student teaching semester, my teacher left after the first 3 weeks. And so, I mean, she would come in and check on me, but it was just me. And so it was a little overwhelming. But our students, the way the program is set up, you do so much interacting in the classroom and doing things in the classroom and doing mini lessons and taking over little pieces in practicum, that when it comes time for student teaching, I feel like our teachers get more of that first year teacher experience because they're already so prepared before they student teach. And so student teaching is just a much richer experience for them. I'm very envious that they get to do it that way, because I felt very overwhelmed when I was student teaching. So I think that's one of the things that makes our program special. It's just the pure amount of time you get to spend in a K-12 classroom.
Thank you so much. Students, again, please feel free to put any of your question. No question is too big, too small. They're all great questions. We know you're considering your options and really appreciate you being here and asking these great questions and sharing with us what you are interested in being. I know we are all quite aware of the teacher shortage and just kind of how amazing those in the education field are. So I know in admission, when we're reviewing your applications and we saw students who are interested in education, we're always just like, yes, these are our game changers of the world. So you guys are always inspiring. Again, I'll leave it up for another minute or so. If we don't get any more questions, don't worry, I'm not into awkward long pauses. We won't drag it out. Hopefully wherever you're joining us from in your time zone, I'm hoping you have nice weather. It's kind of overcast here in the Williamsburg area, but we'll give it another moment or so. Again, I want to thank Baed and Elizabeth so much for sharing their experiences and being available for our students who are interested in education. Such a needed, critical field, and the true superheroes, I think, of the world for sure. Of course, I'm biased, but here we go. What licensure is recognized by international schools abroad?
So the students who've gone to teach in international schools, they don't have a required license. Much like private schools, like if you want to teach in a private school, typically there's not a license required. But what more and more schools are preferring is that you've been through a teacher ed program, and preferably that you got a license from somewhere, because that just gives them a little credibility in hiring you to know that you're prepared to take on a classroom, but not required, but often preferred.
Great questions, everyone. Actually, if you don't mind, do you mind putting your email in the chat dot in case somebody wants to just copy it? And that way, if they have any additional questions or a general email, they can reach out. Of course, you can always reach out to admission@wm.edu and we can direct you to the best resource on campus. We really thank you all for joining us today. And we certainly hope to be high-fiving you on Convocation Day soon. And wish you all the best as you consider your options. And again, congratulations. This is just a year like no other. So you know, really stand out, and all these the characteristics and strengths that you have, especially if you're interested in education, are just going to be great for your future students or whoever you work with. So go out and be the change. And thanks so much for joining us. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out. Oh, someone always comes in right before. They're like, no, don't end. But I love it. That's good. Yay. How many students interested in education? Oh, that's a great question. Were admitted this year? So I guess maybe like the admission statistics overall.
So the way that we admit is kind of different. So this would really be last year, because we're in the middle of the admission cycle right now. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking about. But in curriculum and instruction, there's probably last year, grad and undergrad combined, probably about 75 students. That's probably about right.
Okay, now calling any other questions that might be coming in. All right, well, again, Monica Pinier, it's been an honor to have you guys join us. Thank you again, Dot, for your wonderful presentation and for sharing so many good tidbits and information about our School of Education and the many programs that are so needed. And we need great students like you all here to be part of it. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoy your afternoon. If you think of anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. The recording of this session will be available usually within a few days. And I hope you are checking out all the rest of our digital DFAS events and programming going on. Have a great one. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Is it just us now?
Every time I'm muted. That was good. Thank you.